Mr. Sofyan Wanandi, and all my colleagues from Indonesia. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Om Swastiastu. It is my pleasure to be here before you at this occasion. Allow me to welcome all members, delegates from ASEAN countries, as well as other partner countries whom I have known for many years, and others that hopefully will become my new friends here in Bali. I am also very grateful. This summit gives me opportunity to meet with friends and colleagues from the important and prominent business organization of our region. Ladies and gentlemen, why we are gathering here? There is no doubt that we need to focus our effort on realizing ASEAN Economic Community, anchored in 4 pillars, such as single market and production base, highly competitive region equitable economic development, and integration to the global economy. We are aware that our economy needs to put high priority on the issues of ASEAN Economic Community, particularly since we are quite skeptical about current world economic situation. The previous speakers have touched in depth upon course on current economic issues that have affected the world. We have already known that the current economic slowdown occurred in some areas. Economic slowdown in America, and we see the crisis that has overwhelmed countries in the Eurozone. We must be grateful that Asian countries are currently experiencing better economic growth than those mentioned areas. However, we have to be cautious since the region still faces various problems, such as natural disasters and poverty in many countries. Now we are being tested whether this region could sustain its development and whether our cooperation establishment with some important economies could lead ASEAN to be one of the most dynamic regions in the world. Currently, Asia is inhabited by 3.89 billion people with GDP of 18 trillion US dollar, while North America and Europe are the homes for 814 million people with a total GDP of 30 trillion US dollar. These figures show that average GDP per capita in Asia is only 4.6 thousand US dollar, while in the United States and Europe reached to 36.9 thousand euros. It certainly becomes a big challenge for ASEAN countries to accelerate their growth in order to balance Asia in comparison with the 2 leading economic regions that we mentioned earlier. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, ASEAN is a part of Asia. We must also thank that ASEAN, with a high dynamic economy, has been able to contribute significant growth of Asia as a whole. The World Bank reported that ASEAN has contributed approximately 14.5% to the growth of Asia and 6.8% to the growth of the world. However, we also need to remark that there are still many problems faced by ASEAN economy as part of Asia, particularly in terms of poverty alleviation. Currently, population of ASEAN is approximately almost 700 million with GDP of 1.8 trillion US dollar and GDP per capita of 3,000 US dollar. ASEAN's GDP per capita is still lower than Asian in average. And highest GDP per capita in Asia is enjoyed by some developed Asian countries such as Japan and Korea. Therefore, we should intensely make any endeavor to cope with problems as mentioned earlier, so that ASEAN countries could offer much better business climate to generate expected prosperity in ASEAN countries, as we agreed upon a region with promising economic prosperity for its people. Ladies and gentlemen, as stated in Blueprint of ASEAN, that glorious expectation of resident living in this region is to endeavor a strong production base equitably contributed by Asian economies to meet their own needs and world's demand. Our task is to translate those expectations into workable programs that consistently preserved by all ASEAN economics, taking into account the readiness and different levels of development in the region. Private sector should give input for the realization of ASEAN Economic Community in 2015 on the matter of what ASEAN should look like, what constraints faced in doing their business. Certainly, in this occasion, I could not deliver many important point of views, but at least I could raise few encouraging things which might be relevant to be discussed in this afternoon session. Ladies and gentlemen, to begin my views, allow me to extend a question. In the remaining 3 years left to the year 2015, will ASEAN be able to become a single market and production base? Statistical data from the ASEAN Secretariat shows that intra-trade within ASEAN countries is not encouraging. Each country is more willing to trade with non-ASEAN members. In 2009, the total intra-trade of ASEAN reached 1.5 trillion US dollar, or only 25% of all ASEAN total trade with the rest of the world. The figures implies that we have not fully utilized our resources yet, although we might be aware that trading with neighboring countries will be much easier, more profitable, and less complicated than trading with non-ASEAN countries. I do hope that one of the topics today, connectivity, could further address the important and explore concrete ways to build up interconnection among ASEAN economies. Sufficient infrastructures combined with the improvement of complementary supply and capabilities of ASEAN economies is expected to be able to encourage more intra-trade. Therefore, connectivity should be one of our priority concerns, and this is a prerequisite for setting up single market and production base. ASEAN consists of unique and diverse countries, especially Indonesia. Indonesia is an archipelagic country consisting of 5 main big islands and thousands smaller others that are not only have constraint in connectivity, but also face a lot of obstacles to perform efficient and profitable business. The situation might reflect connectivity problem on sea transportation in ASEAN. We should also realize that land infrastructure are also not sufficient to connect the whole part of ASEAN region. Therefore, it is very challenging if ASEAN economy can overcome this problem in order to increase intra-trade from current level to at least 50% by the year of 2015. I hope this forum can break down the problem and find good solution for ASEAN countries in removing the constraint in connectivity. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the next question is, has ASEAN to some extent become production base for Asia or even the world? By looking at current business practices in some ASEAN economy, I would say yes, ASEAN has become a production base for some world-class companies. Although not all economies have shared same experience. For example, Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, the Philippines, and Indonesia have a variety of multinational companies operate their business efficiently and productively to gain profit, outweigh if the enterprises carry on production in their home countries. Seeing those facts, we should be grateful that ASEAN has become production base for some MNCs. However, we should also apprehend how many ASEAN indigenous entrepreneurs who take advantage on ASEAN as their production base. Looking at Fortune 500 list, I noticed that in 2006, only one company was recorded in the list, and 5 years later, only 2 companies were listed. Let us compare the number of companies from China that have been recorded in the same period. In 2006, 6 companies were recorded, and last year, the number increased to 14 companies. Those facts show that the difference between the number of Chinese and ASEAN companies in the Fortune 500 list is too significant. ASEAN's total population is now about 700 million, while China 1.4 billion. So the difference should not be too flashy. In this gathering, I urge everybody to come upon a solution to this situation. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe the diversity of the 10 ASEAN countries could lead the lesser number of ASEAN companies listed in Fortune 500 compared with the Chinese. Different rules, employers and employees' characters, and government roles of ASEAN countries certainly cannot be directly compared with China, in which the Chinese government has strong dominant role in business practices. However, we should not see the different nature of business between ASEAN as hindrance. From the perspective of population-wise, ASEAN economy needs to push the increasing number of listed companies on the Fortune 500, at least nearly half compared to those held by China. By observing the very few number of companies in ASEAN compared to non-ASEAN companies who become world business players, I believe that ASEAN is in a shortage of entrepreneurs, and this may reflect inadequate education in the field of entrepreneurship, resulting very limited number of entrepreneurs who come to the surface and able to play their significant role in international level. Although I don't have the data, but I believe the number of entrepreneurs per capita of China is much larger than the number of entrepreneurs per capita in ASEAN. I hope entrepreneurship is one of the interesting subjects to be discussed in this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, back to the issue of ASEAN as a production base. I could imagine how hard it is to invite ASEAN businessmen to work together and to take advantage on the huge market either in Asia or the world. Cooperation between ASEAN businessmen is a prerequisite in building a strong ASEAN economy. let me draw your attention to the history of ASEAN in encouraging cooperation among ASEAN companies. In 1980, the ASEAN government has issued so-called the ASEAN Industrial Project. In 1983, the ASEAN Industrial Joint Venture, and in 1988, a brain-to-brain complementation. The later government also established the ASEAN Industry Cooperation, ICO, and beyond 1996, it was very few companies who would utilize these schemes. The most prominent of the business cooperation is ICO, but unfortunately, the scheme was only enjoyed by a few sectors such as automotive, electronics, and food industries. And even though then the beneficiaries are in fact not an ASEAN multinational company. I do not intend to express anti-multinational company to use it. But it must be borne in mind that the government of ASEAN countries involved in the provisions of the scheme have sacrificed some of their revenues on import duties. And it's not a small thing. $2.2 million per year over the ICO runs from 1996 to 2011. It would be very ideal if this huge market and massive government aid was enjoyed by ASEAN entrepreneurs. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, now probably it is not too much that can be given by ASEAN government to encourage cooperation between the ASEAN entrepreneurs, given the fact that more than 99% of the tariff in ASEAN has been 0%. ASEAN Chamber of Commerce ever suggested that this cooperation could also be expanded by giving tax incentive. But in the end, although it has been discussed many times, it seems very difficult to implement because the tax law of each country is different from one and another, and it touches sovereignty of every country. So now cooperation among ASEAN businessmen can only be motivated by driving promising business sectors in which ASEAN has strong resources. I am very much appreciated the establishment of the ASEAN Textile Industry Corporation, pioneered by textile entrepreneurs. This business cooperation is a good model for other types of business practice among ASEAN entrepreneurs. Intentionally, ASEAN textile entrepreneurs step in utilizing the various resources of existing industries in ASEAN in order to improve the efficiency by cutting unnecessary costs in the supply chains so that the product is able to outperform its rivals. Collaboration in the textile industry starts from the downstream of garment industry all the way up to its upstream ones that choose the cheapest, good quality, and most efficient in the ASEAN textile industry supply chains. They configured selection of yarn and man-made fibers and natural fibers couples with the ability to innovate in various types of fabrics, models, and apparels. This arrangement has been able to make ASEAN products cheaper, better, and more competitive. I think what is offered by AFTEX is a role model that can be imitated by other products. They utilize the existing industrial infrastructure, advanced technologies, trained workers, financial resources, and experiences in business. Ladies and gentlemen, experience In the automotive sector, for example, shows that Indonesia, Thailand, and Vietnam, even in the China itself, take benefits from such industrial development derived by constantly increased people income per capita. We learn that the automobile has been able to respond to the changes of the extra income into a growing industry. People who desire means of transportation which initially using a simple transport and then move into a motorbike which generate high demand for four-wheeler vehicle and place a high demand for mass transportation. Certainly, an example of this development can be addressed by ASEAN entrepreneurs to build automotive industry in the countries that possess low vehicle density. Cooperation can be built between companies in ASEAN with principal companies on their own inter-ASEAN businessmen experiencing in the automotive industries, supply chain in each country as part of the production chains of assembling motor vehicle owned by the principal. Ideally, if we look at the concept of the ASEAN industrial cooperation, we can share experiences of manufacturer of certain component of part in order to avoid duplication of investment and improve economic of scale. There are many other sectors we can work on together. For example, in the processing sector of palm oil derivatives, in the processing of agriculture products such as rubber, cocoa, sugar, in the processing of mineral and mining material such as cement production, nickel, aluminum, and so forth. Other promising sectors such as ICT industry is another business arena that ASEAN can be encouraged to be jointly taken care of. It is very encouraging to see people of ASEAN could satisfy its own as well as world demands on IT product and IT content that continue to rise. Ladies and gentlemen, as I illustrated before, we are now facing skeptical optimism about the recovery of the global economy and uncertainties economic situation. These uncertainties could hinder the process of ASEAN toward AEC in 2015, and they should not be taken for granted. The good thing is due to European debt crisis and US financial crisis. Quote-unquote hot money from those countries will try to find a secure and attractive place to invest, including ASEAN. This situation actually is a golden chance for us to secure and to accelerate the establishment of AEC 2015 if we can manage the situation for the interest of developing the ASEAN economy. More than ever, our business communities need to convince themselves to continue investing, producing, and generating jobs, and the ability to equip themselves to deal with the new challenges and opportunities. As you all may notice, the power of world economy has shifted from the West, such US and European countries, to the East, to Asia, and to ASEAN. I am sure our leaders also expect a breakthrough to deal our problem. The momentum is there, and it is up to us whether we should take the opportunities right now or we may miss the train again. Ladies and gentlemen, on this occasion, as Minister of Industry of the Republic of Indonesia, besides intending to provoke a stimulation in the discussion this afternoon, I would like also to report some progress on the current development of Indonesia industry. Manufacturing industry has become a leading sector in Indonesia economy that the third quarter of this year grew beyond economic growth. Manufacturing industry, excluding oil and gas, has grown nearly 7%. Manufacturing industry contributes about 25% of Indonesian GDP. Three subsectors which is the backbone of the industry are: first, food and beverages; second, chemical; and third, automotive, machinery, and tools, contributing almost 75% of GDP industry. Indonesia has decided to develop 33 industrial clusters, in which 6 of them will be the focus of industrial development until 2014. 13 out of 32 clusters are directed to support the master plan of acceleration and expansion of Indonesian economy. The short explanation of industrial policy and development in Indonesia shows opportunities that could be utilized by business community, and I hope that all of you could take advantage from it. I thank you very much.
Sharing with us your in-depth presentation during this wonderful luncheon. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to ask you to proceed to the parallel sessions, which will soon start. And we have session 1 at the Bougainville and Orchid Room, which is on building a sustainable future. Session 2, capitalizing ASEAN connectivity at Hibiscus and Frangipani Room. And session 3, entrepreneurship and innovation, engines of future growth at Jakarta B Room. Parallel sessions will now commence. We kindly request you to please proceed to the designated rooms or the sessions that you wish to attend. Once again, session 1 is in building a sustainable future. Session 2, capitalizing ASEAN connectivity. And session 3, entrepreneurship and innovation, engines of future growth. Thank you for your kind attention, and we will see you later at the Nusantara room at 3 o'clock.